Sorry about the delay. I was trying to get my email up with the link and was having trouble finally finding it, but here I am.
You know what? I
Thanks for
understand.
having
Usually, I'm a bit more professional. I put it on the calendar. I let everybody in the apartment know. I tell my pets, stop talking, stop barking, stop meowing. It's time for us to talk.
Day's going well. I am back home in Denver currently.
Hmm.
Back home and visiting my mom. So I'm out of LA for the next week or so.
Wow.
And yeah, just taking it easy, you know. I got a little break from work, so
Of course.
trying to chill, you know.
Yeah,
What about you?
I know that Denver is a comedy haven now. Are you
Yes.
and I get that you're putting out an album, putting out a record, but
Yes.
are you going to be working at all? Are you going to be doing any shows, any small time things while you're out there?
I might go up to the Comedy Fort in Fort Collins tonight and maybe do a drop-in spot or two if the timing works out. We'll see. But my friend Caleb Simon is headlining up there, so I might go up and at least see his new hour and hang out a little bit.
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
that's
know if you've
that's
ever
really
done
cool.
that club.
Okay. Like when if you do like go ahead and like decide to do that, will you pull like a bit from the record or would you just try to like work on some new stuff and then advertise, "Hey, look at this. I've got this new thing coming out February 20th."
Yeah, I would definitely promote the album while I was doing it. But I've got some new stuff I'm working on right now. So
Cool.
I'd probably see how that stuff was going. If I went up, I probably wouldn't be doing much time. So I feel like I could probably see how the new stuff does on its own without the crutch of the old stuff. But now that an album's coming out, I gotta build a new hour. So I'm working on it. I think I got about 10 right now. So I got some work to do.
I'll tell you, that's 10 more than me. The things that comedians that you guys are able to do is just it's so fascinating to put something out and then to build more on top of it is just something that I think it's like people often just kind of use comedy like, oh, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do an open mic set, or like I've always wanted to be a comedian, but it's a journeyman's thing. You have to be able to just like leave the stuff that you've already done and then continue moving forward because you people always want something new.
Always need something new. And also, it's like, you start to get bored with your own stuff. You know what I mean? It's like you've been doing it for a while. By the time it gets ready for you to be like, okay, I'll put it somewhere and put it out there, you're kind of sick of doing it anyway.
How long have you
So it
been working
helps
on
to
this one?
this is my first album, and this is because I've been doing stand-up almost 20 years. But I'd never done one before, so like a lot of stuff fell is just dead. A lot of bits from over the years are just gone. There's probably two albums that are just they'll never see the light of day.
Wow.
But so this is the stuff that is either hung around for a long time that just I still liked, or newer stuff, a mix. It's a mix of like my favorite stuff right now. So I would say this is like a good representation of like high points stand up wise from that period of time. So it's probably I'd probably say 75% stuff from the last like couple years, 2 or 3 years, and then maybe like the other 25% is like stuff from the whole 20.
Wow.
So like, I've peppered in like bits that I always loved that I just didn't want to, let end up nowhere,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So, and stuff that still, maybe wasn't particularly topical, stuff that still kind of felt current, like, this still works and that people still seem to like and that I still like. So it's a mix, but I'm very happy with how it came out.
That's good. When did you what was your process for, picking the jokes that you decided to keep? I like obviously, yeah, over the past couple of years, that's the stuff that's going to be a little bit more fresher and probably stronger, but the stuff that you decided to keep from even longer ago, what was that decision process like? Did you actually have to write it down and be like tomato bit and keep that one, or how did it happen?
I did a little going back through old notebooks and going like, oh yeah, that thing, and
Mm,
like, oh yeah, that one too. But a lot of the older stuff is stuff that, in the process of building new sets, never fell off for one reason or another. Usually it
okay.
would be like I'd write something new and I'd go, okay, well, now I got to find room for that in 45. So I'm going to drop this. And then eventually that thing starts to get forgotten about, and it would just be this kind of like rolling, like a snake shedding its skin kind of a
Yeah.
thing, But there are some bits that, for whatever reason, just never kind of fell away. Maybe because I could always rely on them,
Mhm.
they always worked, or I felt like they were really good openers that always kind of started things off on a foot that I liked, or stuff that I just didn't get completely sick of, or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, so I would say that really what this represents is like the stuff that I would have done if I, at the time I was recording the album, if it was like I'm going out to do a weekend at a club, it was like this is the
Mm,
stuff that, I'm in Indiana and we're doing 45 to an hour. Like, what's the stuff I would do?
wow.
And so, because I feel like that's the best representation, I feel like an album is like a snapshot of like your act at a given time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I looked at this. So this is just like the stuff that I like, it's dumb. There's some topical stuff in there. There's some, just stupid idea stuff, stories, everything I was liking at the time I recorded it.
That's good. I like a nice, stupid, silly stand-up set. I listened to the first track and it was so funny. Like I
Thank you.
laughed my
Thank you
butt
so
off
much.
just to even hear, you talking about like being able to pan for gold. Like
Yeah.
that's a crazy thing. I remember when I don't know, I think like in middle school, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and we
Yeah.
went to Dahlonega or Savannah or somewhere, and we like for a field trip, and we panned for gold, and I was the only person and on the entire trip who did not get any gold. And a teacher saw that and he was like, "You want mine?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I took it and I kept the plastic vial for years. And literally, it was just literally three specks of gold, like
Specs,
truly
yeah.
nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I think it is part of that bit is it is kind of a uniquely unique thing, especially as like young black guys to have be able to say that we did.
Yeah.
And the thing, so much of Colorado is that outdoorsy western mine, thing. I've been in more mines, more caves, more forts, more like I've done so much of that, canyons. Like that's, so much of the culture of the state that my home state. And so, I that's one of those bits that has hung around a long time because I feel like it always worked and was a unique statement about who I am and where I came up. And
Yeah.
and also I do still think it's absurd that it really is a thing where sometimes you think about it and you go, it is kind of like weird that I have actually stood in a stream with a little metal pan and shaking dirt for 20 minutes and then gone, oh, fool's gold. You know, like I've and done it more than once, you know. There's
If
like a lot of that kind of stuff.
if only gold was like still that easy to come by like
I
today.
know.
Oh,
Well, yeah, especially with the dollar tanking.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know.
What
But
else did you
yeah.
do when you were growing up? Like that, did anything else like inform your comedy like, as you were getting older? Because, I see that as I've worked in grocery stores for a long
Mhm.
time. I've worked in restaurants and watching shows like Superstore or watching movies like Waiting. Just seeing people go through those things again, it just makes me kind of relive those situations. But also since they're funny, I recognize myself in every single thing that happened in every single scene.
Yeah. I think, I think everything about growing up in a place as isolated as Colorado was, especially, I feel like it's a little more on the map now, you know,
Mhm.
like ever since, people here will talk about like old Denver versus new Denver, and new Denver is like, you know, kind of like has a national profile and
Yeah.
people come to town and it's very known, people from all over graduate college, they want to come here or whatever,
Mhm.
but when I was a kid it wasn't like that. It might as well have been on the moon. It felt like it basically was like another Wyoming. So you were just kind of it was like the Broncos were everything. And you know I was just talking to my mom last night about how much I used to go to we used to go to chain restaurants. Like going to dinner was going to like Olive Garden was like, oh, we have family in town, And that's like, I feel like it gives you like a very specific perspective
Mhm.
on, because it's small town, but like, without that kind of regional kind of thing. It's like a
Right.
very specific kind of outdoors. I used to go to the rodeo twice a year.
Jesus.
um, I've been whitewater rafting,
Okay.
but at the same time, people wouldn't know, but there was like a large black population in the city. So like my
Really?
whole neighborhood, yeah, my whole neighborhood growing up was almost all black, Hispanic, but especially black, like historically since the 1800s. They used to call like down the street, they used to call it I believe it was like Harlem on the Platte or something, or Harlem of the Plains, because
Harlem of the Plains.
all those acts used to come down. There's actually a big picture blown up on the side of the Denver Water Building, like
Mhm.
a few blocks away, from a black beauty pageant in like the late 30s or 40s. And like,
Wow.
you know, people wouldn't know, but Denver very much has like a historically black legacy. So
Really?
there's also that aspect of it too, which is it was a very interesting, specific place to grow up. That sort of I think, but much smaller. Obviously, you're in Atlanta. So in Atlanta, and I love Atlanta, and it's got all these different kinds, different sort of black communities.
Yeah.
And like Denver wasn't like that. We all were huddling together. But it was a decent black uh history and uh uh, culture and
Yeah.
stuff that you were exposed to, while at the same time being in broadly one of the whitest places on the planet.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to hear that because when I think of Denver, I think of a mostly white population, and it's kind of,
Mhm.
and I guess it's, well, as you said, the new Denver. I'm thinking of that new Denver where it's the mostly white
Yeah.
population, and it is that one type of white person, the outdoorsy mountaineering. Maybe they are actually outdoorsy, or actually maybe they're just there for the Instagram photos. So I think that's a really interesting dichotomy to hear that you grew
Mhm.
up with versus what is being displayed to the greater populace right now.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a very white city. don't don't get me wrong, but there is always and historically been a large black population, and
Mhm.
like I mean, I guess compared to Atlanta, very small, but like I said, I used to go to the rodeo twice a year. One of those was the Bill Pickett Rodeo, which was started in Denver and is the Black Rodeo.
Oh,
So
wow.
like it's great. It's amazing if you can go see it. But it's full blown rodeo, black rodeo, and they tour.
Cool.
And I believe Beyonce's done some stuff with them. And yeah, I used to do like the regular like rodeo and stock show, like the white rodeo and stock show, and then my dad would always take me to the Bill Pickett rodeo. And
Yeah.
so you see like black cowboys and stuff, and that's a big part of the like history here that doesn't maybe get talked about as much because there's a lot of the original cowboys black, man.
Yeah, yeah. That yeah, I love
So
that. I used to work at a local network here, and they had a lot of acquired Western shows and movies, and
yeah.
I went through a phase as an adult with like cowboy stuff, and yeah, I did
Mhm.
see like the traditional all that John Wayne stuff and Tales of the
Yeah.
Wells Fargo and all those types of shows. But when I started doing more research, like on into more movies and shows that I wanted to see, and then I started doing more research into just
Mhm.
cowboys in general, you do see a lot of people who aren't being talked about, or they were just talked
Yeah.
about in movies and just kind of said
Mhm.
passively. And that's why I kind of like, Taylor Sheridan, he gets a lot of shit.
Yeah.
But for what it's worth, his shows do include more diverse cast,
Mhm.
and he also did that the
Uh,
Yellowstone
Bass
spinoff Bass
Reeves.
Reeves, yeah, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, all I can tell you is if you're into that, man, bro, I cannot recommend going to the Bill Pickett Rodeo more.
Okay.
It's very, very cool. And it is like the whole rodeo thing from, like cowgirls riding horses to like, the hoop of the lasso and black rodeo clowns, like
Yeah.
the whole nine, bro.
You had me at
It's
Cowgirls. All I heard
really
was
great.
Cowgirls.
It's really great. Hey, for real. But it's really great. And but I think that's, so I think I got like a very varied sort of experience here, but
Mm.
it was isolating for sure. It's Denver really was if you think about it, the next biggest, like the next city of its size is
Mhm.
like 800 miles away.
Yes.
So
Wow.
it's all, it was just kind of its own little enclave, I guess you could
Right.
say. It's like everything, there's nothing like close.
Yeah. Now, tell me
So,
about your transition to comedy. Like, how did you, decide, and like, what did you always want to be a comedian? Did you always want to be in the industry?
well, I mean, I always loved TV and I always loved comedy. I used to watch so much TV, watch Nickelodeon all day and then
Mhm.
watch Nick at night and watch those like old Nick at Night shows. And then I think naturally you started checking out other stuff. Like I started watching like Def Jam comedy.
Yeah.
I started watching, I watched Comic View. I would watch, and then I started getting into like older specials or like, you'd watch movies or TV shows and see people who were comedians that you liked in those, and then you'd go see their stand up after that.
Mhm.
You see Eddie Murphy in Trading Places, or you see him in The Nutty Professor, and then it makes you go look at Raw or Delirious or something like that.
Mhm.
Chris Rock, same way. In Living Color was one of my favorite things growing up.
Yeah.
So I would watch like, go and track down like Damon Wayans' stand up or, that kind of thing. So I think it was already there. And then the more I watched stand up, the more I wanted to try it. I wanted to try it when I was in high school and couldn't really figure out how to do it.
Right.
And then when I was 21, I finally figured out that like there's an open mic there's some open mics, and you just go and you just see what you can do. Went to an open mic when I was 21, and I've been doing it ever since.
Whoa. That's crazy because yeah, you look like you're 30 years old, so that you've only been doing it for 9 years.
Well,
Um,
I like to consider myself well lotioned, you know.
well lotioned. And so with this record, I know that you used to write for Jimmy Kimmel and late night writing. How did you stumble into to doing that?
I still work there. I'm
Okay.
still a writer there.
Your
I've been doing it
IMDb
about
does say
five.
2024. I was
Oh yeah, I haven't. I need to update it
okay. Okay.
because you have to physically go in there and like add all the episodes that you worked on. I just
Yeah.
haven't done that. But
Okay.
basically, just stand up is a small community and networking.
Hmm.
You make a lot of friends over the years. And one of my good friends uh, started working at the show maybe 8 years ago. And I was in LA working at a bank
Hmm.
uh, for my day job, doing stand up and stuff like that at night. And the show was hiring new writers. And my friend, his name's Brian Cook, great guy, very funny. Check his stuff out. He just texted me and was like, "Hey man, would you want to submit a packet for the show?" And uh, told me what that entailed. I
Hmm.
wrote it, told me to send him a clip of my stand up that he would email to the head writers with a little recommendation, and I guess they liked what I wrote, and
Nice.
they liked what they saw. So yeah, it was very kind of like one of those things that's LA's weird like that, where it's like you kind of just bopping around doing a lot of stuff, and then all of a sudden something comes your way.
Yeah. You,
So
you,
yeah,
you know what I like about late night because I'm a huge fan of late night like in the genre in general. And
yes,
what I like about it is when you have a host obviously who's been around for a very long time like Kimmel or Jimmy Conan Conan O'Brien. They tend to hire people and then they stick with them. And that really gives, I'm also a huge fan of job security for people in our
yes.
industry because I've been someone who's been bouncing around to 5 or 6 different jobs in the
Hmm.
industry over the course of
Hmm.
10 or so years, and it's not fun. And
Yeah,
so when you see late night writers or people who work in late night in general and they've been there for 15, 20 years, like on SNL, I think it's just a beautiful thing because yes, it can be a job that can get rote and boring, and you could be doing the same thing day in and day out. But it's job security, and also you get to work with funny people and be funny all day
yeah,
long.
yeah. I mean, it's easily the best job I've ever had. I
Yeah.
it's like not even close. I love it to death. Every day, feels more like going to hang out with your friends, and that's there's a very familial character to our office and our room,
Yeah.
and of all those people, and it's very very fun every single day to be in that office and get to hang out with like some of the most brilliant people I've ever met. And Jimmy's amazing, he's very very nice. The play it's a very, I feel like it's a very encouraging environment.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I'm just happy to get to be there. And, it is very, very lucky that I don't know if it's a if it comes from a philosophy or
Mhm.
from uh just a just a personal sense of having dancing with the ones that brung you, or
Right.
just having people around, or but so many people who work at that show have been there since it started 24 years ago.
Wow.
So many, probably like 80% of the staff is like day one people.
Wow.
So like, the writers, there's a lot of people in the writers room who've been there. I'm still one of the newest writers, and I've been there 5 years. And I think that that
Man.
speaks to the both level of talent that is in that room, but
Hmm.
also um, how valued the people who work there are.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I have nothing but good things to say. It's the best.
Were you mad when Jimmy said he wasn't going to host the Oscars anymore? That took away
And
an extra gig from you.
I can't speak for the man. I'm just there to. I'm just happy to be there, man. He does what he wants to do. I got nothing to
Yeah.
do with me. I'm just trying. I'm just happy to be in the orbit.
What about when Lou was chosen to be the announcer? Were you just saying like, "Damn, it could have been me"?
No, man, I love Lou to death,
Yeah.
man. Like Lou is the best. I was very, very stoked for Lou. I remember when he told me that he was trying out to be because he was a writer when I started. Lou was writing
Wow.
yeah, when maybe like a year and a half, he was like, "Oh, they were talking to me about maybe becoming the announcer, and I was just stoked to see it, man. Like Lou is the best. I don't know if you've met him, but he's Lou is a delight.
I haven't met him, but I've
Truly.
I've seen him, pop up here and there, and he's a
Mhm.
very funny guy, and it's
He's
just so great to see him be
incredibly
forward
funny.
facing.
He is incredibly funny, and he is incredibly nice, and one of the best people I've ever met, I have to say. So
That's so great.
no, it's all love, man. I just was stoked to see. I just was stoked to see it.
I do. I have one more question about working at Kimmel on Friday. Since you guys don't do shows, are you just preparing bits for next week?
Yeah,
Okay.
basically Fridays are kind of get ahead days.
Okay.
So we'll write bits and pitches for next week and for the next week and the future.
Hmm.
We'll also maybe if there's additional material needed for stuff that we're prepping for later, like maybe we need questions and something or for some bit or uh, maybe for specific assignment kind of things like, we're going to send Guillermo here,
Hmm.
we need ideas and lines for when he talks to, these people at this event or whatever. And just kind of, it's sort of like a day to focus on stuff when you have a little more time because you're not doing the day-to-day show stuff that day.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah, it's great.
Now back to Esquire.
Yes.
I'm excited for this record, this album. What is Esquire from? Is it like I see on your Instagram handle? It's also a part of the name. Are you an Esquire?
Yes, I am. I am an Esquire. I did go to law school at the University of Denver. I
Oh
did
my God.
take the bar and pass the bar. I do have a license to practice law in the state of Colorado. Now, it is inactive. I did make it inactive because I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah,
But once I was in LA, it was like, well, there's no reason to keep that in an active. It costs money.
yeah,
Um, but but yeah, I do, and when I created those handles, I think it was like right after I got out of law school, so I was, and I'm kind of just leaning into it now. But I was kind of like, I kind of think that's like a good title for an album. I was trying to think of something that could sort of represent me and the sort of overall all-encompassing nature of the material on the album. And so it kind of felt wrong to just grab like a line or something from one of the jokes. It felt like I wanted something that could be more of an umbrella
yeah.
kind of term. And so I just was like, if this album sort of represents me, I think this is kind of a cool, funny title, and that's what we're gonna do.
Ye-
And we'll see. We'll see how people like it.
Yeah.
But I like it. I think it's a good title.
You know what's it's a shame that late night shows don't really do comedy stand up anymore. At the end, like it's like you'll see it on Fallon and you'll see it on Colbert
Hmm.
sometimes. But
Hmm.
I wish there were a way for people to like hop in and see people like you because that is a great showcase. And I know you were on the Late Late Show once, but man, it was just a different world back then for late night and
Yeah.
comedy in tandem. They were like best friends.
Yeah, very much so. But I also think, so much of the business has shifted with internet and stuff like that that um I feel like maybe the utility of doing stand up on late night is different for both comics and the shows. I'm not,
Mm.
that's I'm not speaking from any sort of insider knowledge necessarily, but I
Right.
mean, like, I think as a stand up, it used to be you would go like, man, like I gotta get a late night. Like when I started, I think people were still kind of mentally in that
Yeah.
old model of like, and then Johnny invites you over to the couch and
Hmm.
now you have money.
Yeah.
And I think by the time I was like in the mix of it, that already wasn't the way it worked. And now I think it's, there's so many mediums through which stand-up is delivered to the people who are consumers of it that I feel like it's like everything else, everything is sort of spread out,
Yeah.
and I guess I assume that's probably part of the reason. But look, I ain't gonna turn down no late night sets.
Yeah, it's all on TikTok and then follow that with Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts and
Yeah,
it's
and don't tell comedies become a really, really big
yeah,
launching pad for people, which is so cool. I mean, I know those guys from like I've known Kyle, who's like this is one of the founders, was like the founder of it since they started doing that back in like a backyard in LA,
right.
12, 13 years ago or whatever it was. And to see what it's become is like pretty spectacular.
Mhm.
It's like it's like really, really amazing what Kyle and the rest of the Don't Tell people have built.
Yeah.
But I think that's like a good example. There's so many sort of popular delivery systems because stand-up's so built for internet distribution and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's so perfectly for it. Uh,
Dry bar too.
Dry bar, yeah, just people just doing just straight up TikTok.
Yeah.
They used to be you get like so far sounds clips.
What's that?
It'd be like it used to be, it was like I don't know if they still do it, but it used to be they would do these like shows and that you would see like clips of that. I believe it was so far sounds. Maybe that was a different thing. But yeah, just the way like things have been made and stand up is so built to be bite sized,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Of like here's one bit that's a minute and 30 seconds that's like perfect for phones.
Right.
So I feel like it's kind of it's been disruptive, but it's also like great for enabling more people to sort of get a look.
Yeah.
It makes the space a little, it's just different. It's just different. It's been kind of interesting to watch it change because I feel like I got to LA like right as that was starting to happen, and
Yeah.
then just watch like the whole landscape go like that, like
Yeah.
just flip.
And
So
you
it's
you
been
know
interesting.
in some ways it's changed for the better. It's like it's
Mhm.
because it kind of as cordoned off as people can be with their favorite comedians right now. It was I feel like it was kind of still cordoned off back then, just before there was so much accessibility. And as much as I bitch and
Yeah.
moan about, Netflix putting out so many specials or people just putting out
Yes.
crowd work on TikTok,
Crowd work clips. Yeah.
yeah, I also do think that being able to see Ron Funches or experience a bonus clip of an episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live, I think that's still like really excellent at this point.
Yeah, I think so too. And I also think it's great. It used to kind of be that there were like the guys who went to like New York and Los Angeles and kind of got into the industry mix. And then there
Mhm.
would be all these sort of road guys who were like just out in the middle kind of doing stand up in a variety of different places. And some of them were really, really good and couldn't maybe get eyes on them
Yeah.
without, maybe leaving and moving to another city, which maybe was hard for them to do for family reasons or some other thing. And I feel like the internet has sort of given people who aren't in New York and LA an easier time of getting some eyeballs and maybe building an audience. And I think that, so you're getting to see some comics that maybe in previous generations you wouldn't would have just kind of been road dogs for a while.
Yeah.
And you know so I think you're getting as much as you're getting like crowd work nonsense, you're also getting like a lot access to a lot more skilled comics from a variety of different places. And I
Mhm.
think it's good that people are getting some additional ways to sort of get their shot.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Troy, thank you so much for sitting down with me. This is great. Congratulations on Esquire.
Thanks so much.
And this will be out in time. Don't you worry. I'll put it out just in time for you to help promote
Thank you so
with Esquire
much.
and everything. And yeah,
Thank
I'm
you so
excited for you,
much.
and I'm excited to hear the rest of the album.
I appreciate it so much. Thanks so much for having me. It's been great talking to you. And hopefully I get to meet you in person sometime.
Yeah, man. I hope so too. Enjoy your hiatus. Enjoy the time off,
Thank
and
you.
enjoy the outdoor fresh air, and go pan some
Yeah,
gold.
we'll do. We'll do. It's a nice balmy 48 out there right now.
Oof, just oof. Yeesh. Never mind. Stay inside.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
All right,
All
bud.
right.
See ya.
Thank you. See you.
Oh.